live. We're going live. Reverend Brianna Lynn here, and I'm talking about suppressing yourself today. Thank you so much for tuning in on Instagram, on Facebook Live, and we're going to dive into self-expression and how we suppress ourselves before anyone else gets to. Have you ever been the one who said, I'm not going to express myself because I know other people aren't going to understand me, or because what I have to share isn't the most exciting thing or isn't the most beautiful thing? Well, I want to dive deep into this process of how we suppress ourselves, how I'm offering an incredible 6-month and 1-year program called Sacred Circle Facilitators Training that if you want to be a part of and you've been wanting to be a part of the Earth Temple and get more training on how to express yourself and share that light with others, we have an opportunity for that as well. So I want to dive first deep into this concept of suppression. And it's something that we do to ourselves personally. It's something that's done to the collective. It's something that's done to voices who are pushing the edge, right? So if you're tuning in, it's very likely that you're a healing artist. You're healing and you're an artist and you're a healing artist. So you're healing as an artist. I believe every human being has a gift within them, has an art that they're here to express. That is an expression of the divine. It is an expression of oneness. It is an expression of the beauty that is us all. And part of my work in this lifetime is supporting other people bringing that gift out in a really big way. And I've thought, like, do we need a priestess training? Do we need a witch training? And Spirit keeps telling me, keep it really broad. Keep it really broad so that the people who are there to really hone in to what it is that they are here to crack open, they can do it in a sacred circle. So sacred circle training is really about unsuppressing ourselves. That part of us that is built in to shut ourselves up is not a bad thing. To really understand that we want to share something when it's ready to be shared, that we want to share something when it is of value, is not a horrible thing. Right? There's so often like, I need to be bigger, I need to be more out there, and actually you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I believe within each human being, especially those of us who are healing artists, we have a gift to share, we have a message to share that's related to our mess, that's related to the gunk that we came from. And the more and more we can get in rapport with that gunk, the more and more we can start to tell that story to ourselves and tell that story to each other, we'll discover the gift that's connected to it, whether it's through music, whether it's through breath work, whether it's through movement, whether it's through touching in with spirit or physical touch, whether it's through energy work, that we each have a tool that's walking us home back to our heart, that's walking us home back to our own truth, that's walking us home back to the oneness that is us all. And that when we activate that truth, when we activate that knowing, we will immediately begin to share from a place of irresistibility. So part of my work today was coming on knowing that I'm launching this Sacred Circle training, and I had some stuff come up. I had some stuff come up around, who am I to be training others, right? Like, I'm still on my path. I'm still a human. Who am I to be offering something to people if it's not completely fleshed out? Who am I? And there are some good questions there, right? Like, there's some actual things that I can unpack and say, okay, is there more steadiness in the curriculum that's needed? Are there more support systems needed for the potential students? Like, there are pieces there that I can actually flesh out. And then there's that other piece where it's just hereditary suppression. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, I'm going to stop myself before anyone else does. Has anyone ever experienced that? Give me some hearts. Give me some hands. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stop myself before anyone else does. I'm going to make sure that nobody can make fun of me by never putting myself out there. I'm going to make sure that nobody can give me messages about how off I am. I'm just not going to put myself out there to begin with. And this is the number one thing that I see again and again and again within women, within men, within non-binaries, within all my Anamkara, within all my soul siblings. The number one thing that stops me is me. The number one thing that stops you are you. Number one, not all of them. Number one. Michaela says limitations are all self-imposed. Yes and no, Michaela. Not all limitations are self-imposed. Gravity is not self-imposed. Taxes are definitely not self-imposed. But the limitations around if I believe I am ready to share, or if I am worthy enough to come on and just have this conversation with you. Those are self-imposed limitations. I think it's really important for us as human beings in the 3D to understand that we are having a co-creative experience. It is an experience I am creating with the universe. I am not creating the universe. I am not creating all of my reality. That is a lie that has been sold to us by the New Age spirituality movement, by the New Age industry. You are not creating all of reality. We are co-creating reality. We are co-creating reality with the universe. We are co-creating reality with each other. I am not God. You are not God. We are not creating this on our own. We are co-creating this with each other and the larger source, universe, God, Goddess, I am. So when we talk about suppression, it's really important to bring in system awareness. I as a spiritual person, I love to bring in systems awareness. So it's important for us to look at governmental systems of belief around racism and genderism and sexism and ageism and ableism and sizeism. So while I, Brianna Lynn Cavion, Reverend Brianna Lynn, can impose certain things based on trauma of my past or based on how I feel good or not good about myself in this moment, it's also very important for us as people of spiritual influence to understand that we live in a 3D reality that also deals with strata. It creates hierarchies. It's constantly giving people a point up or a point down from others based on how beautiful you are and the aesthetic of the moment, the fashion aesthetic of the moment, how in you are, if you're on the right side of the conversation, if you know how to identify sexually, right? So in this idea of suppression, we get to unpack the larger systems of suppression. Suppression is not only an inside job. It is an inside job, but it's not only an inside job. So it's a both and. It's a real both and. As spiritual beings, it's very important that we are in touch with what is happening socially, politically, economically, on our planet at this time, in our general locale, where we're at in terms of our city, in terms of our province or state, and what's happening globally to be a part of the conversation. How do we be in the world but not of it? We know what is happening, we know what is of happening, but we don't over-identify with needing to fight it or needing to become it. So it's about being a participant in the 3D reality without getting wiped up into it, without getting wrapped up into the identity. One piece that I'm really working on around unsuppressing myself is in front of other men. I have a story specifically that men, or beings that present as men and beings that present as white, that in my education, in my university education and in my own synthesis of the world, I've identified these individuals as the enemy. And part of my internal work right now is seeing no enemies and understanding that each person has a story. And as someone who's flown to the left and wanted to be an ally and wanted to be on the right side of history of white people, I've utilized my gender as presenting as a woman as my ticket in with marginal communities in order to share suffering. And that's a really dangerous path, because that means I need to be continually in suffering in order to relate to these communities. So in my own unsuppressing of myself, I am doing two things. One, I'm forgiving all parts of myself that have participated as the perpetrator and needing to make someone else the perpetrator, needing to make someone else the villain. So I'm forgiving all the villains within myself and outside of myself. Number two, I'm writing a new story that every human being is a unique experience. Every human being is a unique experience, and I get to get curious about those human beings in these experiences, rather than do blanket concepts of all white men are like this, or all black men are like this, or all Asian people are like this, or all people are like this. That even within the desire to dismantle systems of racism or dismantle systems of oppression, I have also taken on systems of oppression. So part of unsuppressing myself is speaking out loud some of those judgments that have been churning within me. Judgments that I've used as protection for myself. Judgments that I've used as ways of negotiating with this reality. ways of judging others in order to keep myself and my tribe safe. I'm dismantling all of that. And so that's my piece in unsuppressing myself. What are you doing to unsuppress yourself? What are you doing to allow that expression to come through? And I'm learning that expression is a two-way street. Expression is expressing my deepest truth while also being in rapport with the audience that I'm speaking to. It's one thing to be fully expressed. It's another thing to be in compassionate conversation with the audience that I'm a part of. Right now, you're my audience, right? Versus a ceremony circle versus a crowd of a couple thousand, which is where I'm going to next, is like really stepping forward as a speaker and teacher. When I'm in that space, it's a different rapport. But true self-expression isn't just about me. True self-expression is the big S, the big self. What does the big self, the spiritual self, the one that wants to speak to all want to say? It's not just about me scratching an itch. True self-expression is not just about me scratching an itch. True self-expression is about, as it flows through me, can I filter it and refine it so that when it lands for the audience that's in front of me, it can actually be digested. True self-expression isn't me jerking off in front of people so that I feel better about what's flowing through me. True self-expression is about being in complete rapport with those who are receiving while also being true to what's flowing through all of my chakras, including my heart out of my mouth. So that was a little bit on Suppress Yourself. If you want to learn more about our training program, it's the first link in my profile on Instagram. It's here on the link in the notes for the Facebook Live, theearthtemple.com/SCT. We're training for 6 months and a year to learn how to unsuppress yourself, to be deeper in the shamanic practice, to be deeper in the sacred circle together, and how to dive deep into that oneness and how to share it from a place of love, how to be a beacon, not a brand. How can we be beacons of light and not brands of the new age industry? I'm much more interested in us being beacons of light than being someone who gets whatever amount of money and however many amount of followers. Those metrics are fine, but that's not why we're doing what we're doing. We're doing what we're doing so that we can end all wars with ourselves, other selves, and the world itself, and so that we can bring heaven to earth in this lifetime, in this relation now. Yes? You with me? Yes, yes, yes? Beautiful. Leave a comment below. I love to respond to all of you. You're more than welcome to DM me if you have any questions about the training program or anything that I've shared here. I've got lots of podcasts. I've got lots of free content on Facebook and on Instagram, so I would love for you to check out all the things. Follow, like, share, all the things. I love you all very much. Reverend Brianna Lynn signing out on Suppress Yourself. Bless, bless. Love, love, love. Pew!